the United States administration has declared drug cartels as terrorists and its impacts on each of us in Canada. Well, today we're going to talk about the issue of security, borders, and executive order signed by Donald Trump earlier this year that designates drug cartels around the world as terrorists. And you might ask, well, what is its implications in terms of our way of life in Canada? Well, we're going to talk about that because it hits home to our way of life, our economy, our safety, and so much more. So it's a fascinating topic. So I thought I would confer with my friend and senior fellow at Frontier, Scott McGregor. So a warm welcome to you, Scott.
Well, thank you for having me, David.
So is this designation significant, or is it just simply one of another executive order that may or may not make any difference? Is this significant in your mind?
Yeah, the designation is quite significant. It does follow on President Obama's 2011 executive order identifying transnational organized crime groups as national security threats. What that did was it opened up the avenues for sharing classified information within the agencies in the United States, right down to law enforcement. This enabled them to, start looking at things a lot more robustly than what we're doing in Canada. We don't have the same capability. But by Mr. Trump designating them as terrorist groups, now we see the opportunity to really go after what is spreading and is connected to nation state threats as well. So that's very significant, and it does impact Canada in a number of ways. But yeah, it's very significant for Canadians to pay attention to the activity and the way that the United States is approaching these threats.
Mm-hmm. So this is quite a historic moment then. And so we're going to dive into this, Scott, together, because obviously it's not just our security that matters, it's our prosperity. And the two are interrelated. And I think that's why we use the phrase that security trumps, the economy. So what do we really mean by that, Scott, when we say that point?
Well, without the security, it's very difficult to have economic stability. We've seen this in overseas operations as well. If you put things ahead of security, they end up falling apart, and the threats end up manifesting and causing any opportunities to be undermined. So that's the real issue, is that Canada is experiencing this national security threat in a number of different sectors. And it's in our critical infrastructure. It's affecting our allies. It's damaging society at large. So I would say this is very significant. Up until this point, I've seen some token efforts by the Canadian government. We haven't heard much lately about the fentanyl czar or any of these other things that were kind of knee-jerk reactions to Mr. Trump's announcements.
Yeah, so we're going to catch up quite a bit about this because you're right, Scott. We heard a lot about this several months ago as the Trump administration came into play. We heard a lot about resetting the relationship the United States is undertaking with Canada and many other countries around the globe. And it was interesting because, as we recall, the Trump administration signaled that not only did they want Canada to carry its weight as a NATO partner, but also to be able to ensure that its borders were secure. And so I think there's a larger picture here. Is it fair to say the Trump administration is pursuing a kind of a Monroe Doctrine 2.0, where they're emphasizing the security and the prosperity of the entire continent here, including Canada and the United States?
Well, I think I've spoken before, and I've mentioned continentalism and the way that we're starting to see some of the geopolitical maneuvering by the United States and other countries, where yes, the United States is very concerned about the external threats. They've sort of analyzed where those threats are coming from, and they see North America as having sort of leaky borders, I guess you might call it. In Canada's case, we're harboring a lot of transnational organized crime figures. We have national security threats in the country, and we're not really capable of doing anything about it. So the United States came out and offered to help us with those things, and Canadians got very upset about it, thinking that the manner in which it was done, I think, didn't rub Canadians the right way. But the effort and intention there was to try to rid us or help us deal with the level of threats that we have ongoing. Mexico is not much different. Mexico has the cartels, so yeah, there's a lot more going on in Mexico. But it's more opaque in Canada than it is in Mexico, where it's much more overt. So that's
Okay.
kind of some of the issues that are being raised right now.